WCBI Sports presents Dog Days in Omaha, starting now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for our Dog Days in Omaha special. Chris Bolton, I'm Courtney Robb. Our John Sokoloff will be joining us on location in Omaha later in the show. 8 teams will spend the next roughly 10 days fighting it out in the College World Series, each team hoping that their team will become a national champion. However, only one of those 8 has secured a spot in Omaha for the last 3 straight years, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. State will make its 12th overall appearance in the College World Series today, beginning with a matchup to Texas. Making it to Omaha for the Dogs, however, is the expectation. Winning it all, that's something that's never been done by this team. However, the Bulldogs are hoping to change that. Take a listen.
We have our work cut out for us. We're confident. We know we can play with anybody, but when you get here, everybody's good and everybody's hot. I like our chances. We've had a great season, but we haven't had a perfect season. We've had tough days and tough weekends and tough tournament. That type of resiliency at the end of the year, I like our group. I mean, we're tough. I mean, they have responded every time, and we're excited to play.
The same game we've been playing, so we're good, but everyone's good. So we'll just go in and play Bulldog baseball.
Man, if anything on my bucket list in Omaha is to come home with a ring. I feel like the town of Starkville, they deserve it. You know, they're great fans. They have a great fan base. They always support us no matter what. So I feel like it's our turn to come here and win a national championship and bring it home back to Starkville.
The last time out between Mississippi State and Texas baseball, the Dogs got it done, 8-3 against the Longhorns. Now, it was State's bullpen and Bulldog ace Christian McLeod that helped bring State a season-opening victory. Now, not only is Texas fighting for a chance to stay in the winner's bracket, no, it's deeper than that. The Longhorns look to avenge the team's season-opening loss. If you ask Texas head coach David Pierce if there's any difference between the Bulldog bunch from February to now, he says there's not much.
They were really good opening weekend, and the one thing is that they run, for an SEC team, I think they run better than most SEC teams. They have power arms. A big part of their pitching staff is relying on the strikeout. They play with a lot of confidence, and they've been here 3 years in a row. So these guys they're veterans. I think they're a great team, and in comparison of now to opening weekend, a lot of similarities of how they started, in my opinion. So what I've seen of late, they play with emotion, they play with confidence, and they've got a couple of guys in that bullpen that are really tough.
When we took the field against Mississippi State, that we were really young at the beginning of the year. A lot of the guys that we played hadn't really seen the field, hadn't played a full season yet. Now that they've got a full season under their belt, I think that they're more prepared mentally, even more so than physically, to take the field against a team like Mississippi State. It's just going to come down to the basics. It's going to come down to pitching, defense, and getting a timely hit here and there. Both teams are equipped with great arms, great bats, and I think it's just going to be a really well-rounded matchup.
The last time Mississippi State made the College World Series was just 2 years ago, back in 2019. However, like many years prior to that one, the Bulldogs managed to come up short in Omaha. Let's take a look back at that final game at TD Ameritrade Park from 2019. Take a look.
It didn't really feel real, Tell yourself something in your head so much you expect it's gonna happen. Remember that night in Rice? Or no, you weren't there.
Rice Hall. Yeah,
you were there. Rice Hall. We made a promise we were gonna bring a national championship, and we fell short, brother. But fought like hell doing it. And,
Came twice though.
Came to Omaha twice, just couldn't finish it.
Right when that ball was hit, it kind of already sank in. Like, I felt it, and I was like, there's no way that just happened. I know I left my mark in college, and, I'm very blessed to be here. And moving forward, I know later down the road, if I have a family, I can look back and be like, I competed here two years in a row. And so I'm going to look at it like that, thank God for everything he's done.
This is a special place, a special team, and it took a lot to get here. It took a lot of time in the fall, it took a lot of time in the spring. And just, us being here together was all I could have asked for, with these guys, with this last group, to end it in Omaha, something special.
I leaned on them as much as they probably leaned on me, and they were a group of winners. I always say so we had a lot of alphas, leaders, and this was a player-driven team. It wasn't about the coach. It was about what they wanted and what they expected, and I just hate they came up a little short.
Now, Coach Lemonis hopes this year's team can manifest a different destiny, one that ends with a win. And speaking of wins, Mississippi State's road to Omaha has been filled with just that. Let's take a look at the Diamond Dogs' journey to the College World Series.
Let's go back to the very beginning. Game 1, the Bulldogs play Texas in Arlington. State gets the win over the Longhorns 8-3. Pitcher Landon Sims helped seal the deal, throwing 10 strikeouts in 4 innings. After dominating in non-conference play, MSU starts the SEC season off right on the road in Baton Rouge. The Bulldogs win the series against LSU at one of the most difficult places to play in the country. Fast forward to Super Bulldog weekend in April, Mississippi State and in-state rival Ole Miss go blow for blow. The Bulldogs take game 1, the Rebs take game 2.
The 0-2. Ground ball left side, Forsythe got that one, underhand toss, and Mississippi State takes 2 of 3 from Ole Miss in this monumental battle here in Starkville this weekend.
But ultimately, it's Mississippi State winning game 3, 7-5. The Bulldogs take the series and jump ahead of Ole Miss in the SEC standings, adding another statement win to the Bulldogs' belt. Before starting postseason play, State has an up and down end to the regular season. The Bulldogs lose a home series to the conference's worst team, Missouri. A shocker to say the least. However, the Dogs bounce back with a road sweep in Tuscaloosa over Alabama. MSU closes the regular season with a 20-10 SEC record. The new season begins for the Diamond Dogs in Hoover, Alabama for the SEC tournament, but not the way MSU fans were hoping for. MSU was quickly bounced in the SEC tournament, losing back-to-back games to Florida and Tennessee by a combined score of 25-3. At that point, MSU's chances of being a national seed were in question, but the Diamond Dogs earned the number 7 national seed for the NCAA tournament and have been rolling since.
Forsythe. Mississippi State survives.
State won its regional without dropping a game, which brings us to the big showdown in Super Regionals. MSU and Notre Dame at Duty Noble Field. The series goes to 3 games, but the Dogs, led by SEC Player of the Year Tanner Allen, who hits a home run in his last home baseball game, ultimately come away with the win, sending MSU to a 3rd consecutive College World Series.
Omaha for the 3rd consecutive year.
Now there's 2 paths that Mississippi State can take to the College World Series championship, either through the winner's bracket or the losers. Naturally, a win in game 1 would make things a whole lot easier. This is how Mississippi State preliminarily could make it into that championship title game. This is bracket 2. Now, we couldn't show you all of the games, so here's just the first 4. These teams in the field include Tennessee, Virginia, Texas, and Mississippi State. Tennessee and Virginia playing in that game 3. Virginia was the winner of that game this afternoon. So yeah, Chris, keep that in mind. How about that? Tennessee hot all year, losing to Virginia. That's something you're going to want to look out for.
Shout out to the Cavaliers.
Now, if State is able to pull out a victory against Texas this evening, the Bulldogs would land themselves in the winner's bracket, which means the Dogs would play on Tuesday at 6 p.m. However, if State loses, the Dogs would play in Game 7 on Tuesday at 1 p.m. and then have to win that game to play in Game 10. That would be on Thursday, June 24th at 6 p.m. The winners of Game 3 and 4 advance on to Game 8. So that's who you'll see there. The loser of Game 8, however, will play the winner of Game 7 in that Game 10, and the winner of Game 10 advances on to Game 12, and the winners of Game 8, whichever team will survive Game 12, that will be the winner of Bracket 2. This one we're looking at right here, advancing on to the National Championship Series. That's set for Monday, June 28th through potentially Wednesday, June 30th. As you can see, the winner's path naturally to the title game, much easier than if you lose, especially in Game 1.
You better win Game 1.
Absolutely. Hey, we're just getting started here. You're watching the Dog Days in Omaha special. Plenty more action is on the way right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Welcome back to our Dog Days in Omaha special. The college baseball season is a grind. Week in and week out, reporters are gathering information, watching games, and dedicating their lives to quite literally live and breathe the game. As the Bulldogs prepare to take the diamond this evening, our John Sokoloff caught up with Theo DeRosa of the Commercial Dispatch to talk all things Mississippi State baseball. Take a look.
I'm joined by Theo DeRosa. He covers Mississippi State athletics for the Commercial Dispatch. That includes Bulldog baseball, and I mean, they've had quite the season after taking down Notre Dame in the Super Regional. Now at TD Ameritrade Park, taking on Texas, an opponent that they faced earlier in the year, their first game of the season. Theo, where do you kind of think Mississippi State stands heading into the College World Series?
Well, honestly, John, the Bulldogs stand in a pretty good position. They beat Notre Dame in 3 games in the Super Regionals after taking care of their regionals, sweeping all those games. However, they kind of struggled going into the SEC tournament and then playing there in Hoover, getting run ruled back-to-back. They lost to Florida, they lost to Tennessee, but Tennessee is here, so are the Bulldogs, and they're looking forward to a great run here in Omaha for the 3rd straight time.
Definitely, and when you think about Bulldog baseball, you think about Tanner Allen, Rowdy, that offense, but you got to make sure to keep runs off the board, right? And Will Bednar's getting the start that first game for the Bulldogs against Samford. He had some electric stuff, and against Notre Dame, he'd be the first one to tell you that he took a little bit of a step back. What are you kind of expecting to see out of Will in game 1?
Well, he's going to work that fastball slider combination that he's done so well throughout this season. He has had some rough starts, like you said, John. Against Notre Dame, not his best. Samford definitely a solid start right there in the regionals. If Will can be at his best against Ty Madden, who's a really good pitcher there for Texas, I think the Bulldogs stand a good chance of winning game 1.
And Tanner Allen was the first one to say this, that both teams are completely different at this stage of the season. But Ty Madden, you know, it was kind of an up and down performance against them the first time, but obviously he's going to be ready to go. He's done really well for the Longhorns in their last 2 starts with him on the bump. Now I want to talk offense a little bit. This is a little bit of a bigger ballpark, Theo, so dimensions a little deeper, and that bottom of that order hasn't quite given State the production that Chris Lemonis kind of expects. Do you kind of expect the bottom of that order to struggle at all here?
Honestly, I don't think so. They really picked it up there in the regionals and the super regionals. Chris Lemonis called them the Twin Towers. Brad Cumbest and Kellum Clark, those guys picked it up big time. They have power, they can get on base, and they're really what the Bulldogs need at the bottom of this lineup. Now, we'll say shortstop Lane Forsythe has been struggling there in the number 9 hole. If he can get it going, then you've really got a really potent lineup 1 through 9, especially with those guys like Rowdy and Tanner at the top.
Yeah, I mean, once you talk about the top of the order, I mean, all of those guys can score. Tanner, the SEC Player of the Year, he's almost hitting 400. Rowdy, what do they call him? Postseason Rowdy now. He's been unbelievable, but how far would you say you kind of expect to see the Bulldogs go here in Omaha?
I definitely think they can win at least 1 game. Obviously, last time they won the first game against Auburn, but I think I could see them at least winning 1 game. I can't see these guys getting eliminated in 2 games. They worked too hard for this, and guys like Tanner Allen's just not going to let that happen. I could see them winning 1 game and even making it to the championship series if McLeod and Bednar and all those guys have really good starts and the offense shows up.
And the last thing I want to ask you about, Theo, Christian McLeod, you know, the last couple of weeks, like he's had what Chris Lemonis calls his best stuff, but he's let a couple of runs, you know, score, and we talked about a little earlier the road pitcher that he's been this year, but at home the last couple of times he hasn't been his best. What are you kind of expecting to see from him here?
Well, I think he's going to be helped out by the ballpark here. TD Ameritrade plays big, and as you said earlier, he's a fly ball pitcher in a big ballpark, and I think that's only going to serve him to his advantage. He's obviously been a lot better on the road than at Dudy Noble Field, where there were a ton of runs scored in that regional and that super regional, but I think McLeod will get things going here in Omaha if he can keep the ball in the ballpark.
Some fantastic insight from Theo from the Commercial Dispatch. Well, on a hot day at a baseball game, everyone loves an ice cold drink, maybe some ice cream, a hot dog, but what about candy? One Diamond Dog superfan is making sure there's enough sweet treats to go around. That story and more of our special when we come back right after this.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
At a baseball game, you're typically reaching for, you know, hot dogs, peanuts, popcorn, hey, maybe even some Cracker Jacks. However, there is one member of the Mississippi State faithful that is making sure every Bulldog fan's sweet tooth is satisfied, whether that's in Starkville or in Omaha. Take a look.
The home of Mississippi State baseball, Dudy Noble Field, is known for its fantastic atmosphere. After all, Dudy Noble set an NCAA Super Regional attendance record with 14,385 fans. there's one fan who stands out amongst the rest. Some know him as 68-year-old MSU alumni Ron Caulfield. However, most know him as the Mississippi State Candyman.
I can tell if nobody knows me because they're like, ugh. But then somebody will sit around and go, he's the Candyman. Take it. It's okay. It's okay.
Caulfield has been a recognizable face at Mississippi State athletic events for the last 22 years. He's most known for being the smiling face handing out candy throughout Polk Demon Stadium during baseball games.
People would ask my name and I say, well, I pass out candy. You're the Candyman.
Yet, the origin of the Candyman story doesn't begin with fellow Bulldogs. Instead, it all started with some friendly Texas A&M fans Caulfield met in the late 90s.
They brought 3 bags of candy. They said, you need to pass it out at the ball game, at baseball. I was like, I'm not really sure about that. They said, well, you are.
From there, the rest was history, and the Candyman was born.
Passed out the candy. People went nuts. The adults were worse than the kids. I mean, anybody from 2 years old to 96 were fighting for a penny piece of candy.
At every Mississippi State baseball game, you can find Ron on the third base side holding this 15-pound bag of candy and distributing as much as he can to fans sitting around.
People want to holler and support the team, but they don't want to be the first one to holler. So you got me. I'm loud. I'm going to make you holler. If you get candy, you're going to holler.
The tradition for Ron isn't a cheap thrill. Caulfield estimates that he spends nearly $2,000 a year keeping a constant stash piling up in his closet. For the Candyman, it's a small price to pay for what he gets in return.
Some young man or young lady will come up, maybe a sophomore in school here or whatever, and they'll go, I remember when I was 6 years old. And I thought, well, that leaves an impression on them.
As to how long the Candyman plans to be a staple at Bulldog baseball games?
As long as God's willing.
Reporting in Starkville, Courtney Robb, WCBI Sports.
The Candyman also told us he fully planned to make the trip to Omaha with Mississippi State. So hey, you might see Ron at TD Ameritrade Park passing out some candy. He wants to continue passing out special Fireball candy to help cheer the Bulldogs to victory.
After a year off due to COVID-19, the city of Omaha is happy to have baseball back. However, there are changes this year to the College World Series fan experience. The NCAA made the decision to allow for 100% fan capacity, along with not mandating mask wearing. However, the normal pomp and circumstance will, however, be limited. Team practices both at area fields and at TD Ameritrade Park will be closed to the public. There will not be opportunities for fans to get autographs, no opening or closing ceremonies, and even no fireworks. Even the national anthem, that's going to be virtual this year. Fans looking to attend cannot buy GA tickets. Outfield tickets can be purchased as assigned seats. So keep all of that in mind if you're heading up to Omaha this year.
Any State fan would be willing to bet that there are fewer fan bases that travel nearly as well as the Bulldog faithful do. The College World Series is no exception to that. In fact, there is an entire group of fans that make plans to head to Omaha every year, whether or not Mississippi State is playing. Our John Sokoloff caught up with the left field lounge Lizards. Take a look.
You've either seen them at Dudy Noble Field or here at TD Ameritrade Ballpark in Omaha at the College World Series. They go by the Lounge Lizards. It's a tailgating group, and it dates all the way back to the early 1970s. Now, since its creation, the group has seen growth in both members and relationships made. Now, since last season was canceled due to COVID-19, it makes this one matter even more.
Not having it last year, knowing we probably could have made it last year, that sucked. But this year, it's like not last year never happened. We're right back here, and we're all having a blast.
It's glad to be together and glad they allowed tailgating and 100% occupancy in the stadium.
I was out there when I was little bitty. There's pictures of me on our rig when I was a toddler, and my little brother's 5 years older than me, and pictures of him as a baby on the rig. It is my favorite thing in life, in all seriousness. It's really a family.
And they're like your brother or your sister, okay? We get to know them both here and at home, and they want to do what they can to help you, and everybody wants you to have a good time when they come here. So it's a lot of fun, man. It really is. It's really sweet this year, okay? and we have a really good team, coached by some really good coaches, and they're making good decisions both on and off the field, and we're here to have a good time, and we're here to win.
I got to hang out with the Lounge Lizards for a few hours during one of their tailgates, and I even asked them, even if State didn't make it to Omaha, would you still have made the trip? And everyone there had the same answer in one word: absolutely. Courtney and Chris, back to you.
Chris, I don't know if you remember, but we got to meet them back in 2019, and their food, it was bussin'.
It was fire.
It was so good. Go check them out. But we are just moments away from first pitch between Texas and Mississippi State. The winner will launch themselves right into the winner's bracket. We've got predictions on the way right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Welcome back. With the College World Series opener for Mississippi State just moments away, the Bulldogs are looking to set the tone early, and that starts with a victory in Game 1, securing a spot in the winner's bracket. However, what are the chances the Dogs are able to pull that off against Texas this evening? We're going to make some predictions for the matchup. Chris, let's start with you. What are you anticipating is going to happen tonight?
Well, I'm going to give you a quote real quick. I know it's from a different sport, a different coach. But Alabama head football coach Nick Saban, he said, I don't know why you're trying to, stop asking, it's not happening. I'm not picking against Mississippi State. It's not happening. You don't have to ask me anymore.
Quit asking.
Quit asking. I'm going with the Bulldogs in this one. Just like in Game 1, they dominated on the mound. I expect the same thing here in this ball game. Will Bednar, an All-American. He's going to be great. He's going to pitch a great ball game. I expect a lot of fly balls, a lot of outs, and I expect a lot of hits from Mississippi State. I'll say the Bulldogs 7-2.
Chris, I think honestly that's an excellent prediction. I'm not going to stray too far away from that, honestly. I also think Mississippi State is going to get the job done. Now, naturally, I think it's going to depend on the type of outing the Bulldogs choose to have. I think something State is definitely going to need to keep an eye out for are errors. You're going up against Texas, which is a top team in top 15 team in fielding percentage. The last time we saw State play a team just like that was in the Super Regionals against Notre Dame. And that's a team, if you make errors, they will absolutely make you pay for it. On the other hand, you're going to want to capitalize off of any errors that the Longhorns are going to make. So if State can focus on playing some real clean baseball tonight, I think we see the Bulldogs pull out the victory. And I'm going to go 6-2 because why not?
Okay, that's a great point. Most of the time when you make it this far in the season, it's the team that plays the cleanest, makes the fewest mistakes, that gets the win.
Absolutely. Well, our John Sokoloff has a prediction as well from Omaha. Take a look.
My prediction for the Bulldogs and Longhorns in Game 1 here for MSU in the College World Series is I think State's going to get the win 5-2. I think Bednar is really going to sharpen that fastball and slider. He's going to be the Will Bednar that we saw in Nashville when he dominated, and it's going to lead State to a dub. They also hit Ty Madden pretty well last time. I know he's a different pitcher now, but still, this lineup is playing pretty good baseball. So that's my prediction, 5-2.
Big thanks to John. You've heard what we think is going to happen between the Bulldogs and the Longhorns. Now we want to hear about what you think. Our John Sokoloff caught up with fans in Omaha for their predictions on tonight's game and the College World Series overall. Take a listen.
Okay, my prediction for the game today is Mississippi State 7, Texas 2.
I'm thinking we're going to take this 8-5, good ball game, similar to the last game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think Bednar's going to get it done. I think his ERA away from Starkville is a lot better than it is at home. So we'll see.
9-3, State. Yeah, that's why we came.
If we get up 1 or 2 runs, bring Landon Sims in, and it's pretty much going to be a done deal.
I think it's going to be something like 4-3.
6-3 Dogs.
6-3 Dogs?
6-3 Dogs.
Confident,
no doubt. Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to go with 7-1. Dogs win again.
I'm going to say Dogs 5-4.
Dogs 5-4.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a good pitching matchup. You got 2 potential top 10 draft picks, Bednar versus Madden.
Madden's good. We beat him up early. I feel like he's going to come back with better stuff tonight. They haven't seen Bednar, so I think he's going to do well. If he gets the corners like they have yesterday, it's going to be a good game.
With Tanner Allen and Logan Tanner and Rowdy and Luke, all the guys, they're just playing like a team effort. So I think this is the year for Mississippi State to get their first national championship here.
All the way.
To the ship, man.
All the way, all the way.
I hope they go all the way. We got close right there in 18, but Oregon State knocked us out and they went on to the finals and won it. So I'm here till it's over. So
I think this is the year. They've talked about it for years, and nobody's picking us. That's the way we like it. We like to be the Dogs.
We'll worry about tonight and then worry about the rest later.
The way the stadium's built, I think they got a good chance to make a run at it. We'll see what happens.
They're going to dominate this whole thing. They're going to win it all. You got to believe.
Okay.
Believe in them Dogs.
Very confident. We know it. It's time. It's our time.
Chris, you have to love the confidence that
You
those
heard the people all the way.
All the way. They're not doubting this team at all. And I will say, I have to agree, it feels like this team is due. I mean, 12 College World Series appearances.
Yes. 3 straight.
You have to think at some point, you know what they say, third time's the charm.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It might be the year. The fans think so. Hey,
I think so too.
We've got more still to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching Dog Days in Omaha with WCBI Sports.
Just in case you didn't end up making the trip up to Omaha just yet, because, hey, I feel like I know you're going. No worries. We've got you covered. Here's how you can watch State and Texas square off this evening at TD Ameritrade. Go ahead right after this. Switch over to ESPN2. First pitch is set for 6 p.m. When the game's over, make sure you jump right back here. We'll have the coverage you want, the coverage you need, Chris, right here at WCBI Sports at 10, as well as all throughout the week. As long as State is there, so are we.
We got you.
We got you covered. So thank you so much for joining us. It's time for baseball to begin. So exciting, the College World Series. Have a good night.